Tullia et Claudia, prima pars. These are characters from past stories. We have Tullia, a Roman domina, her daughters, Secunda et Cornelia, and their servants, Rosa et Anna. In the story, they go from the country to visit Claudia and her maids in the city, and all the noun cases are reviewed. Tullia et filiae, Cornelia et Secunda, ruri sunt. Claudia Romae est. Tullia Claudiam amat, itaque Tullia cum filiabus Romam properat. Tullia in lectica sedet, sed filiae et servae, Rosa et Anna, ambulant. Ex vila in viam appiam Tullia et puellae properant. We'll stop here for prima pars, and the question will ask you to choose which main idea best summarizes what the story is about so far. Then we'll go back over the grammar. Tullia et filiae, Cornelia et Secunda, ruri sunt. Tullia, with the short A ending, is feminine, singular, and nominative, so she's got to be the doer of the action in some way. If we look to the end of the sentence and look for the verb, we see sunt, the verb of being. Notice that with that nt, it is plural. So Tullia by herself, because she's singular, cannot be the doer of the action alone. So we have the conjunction et, which means and then we see filiae, daughters. So we see that with the I ending, there are several possibilities, but the most likely possibility here is that it is that filiae is plural and nominative. The conjunction et normally connects two things that are the same. So here we have our compound subject, and the basic sentence then is Tullia et filiae sunt. Everything else is decoration. Cornelia et Secunda are also feminine singular and nominative nouns. They are in apposition to filiae. So in other words, Cornelia et Secunda are explaining the content of the word filiae. We call that apposition, when you just juxtapose a noun in the same number and case with another noun in order to explain what that noun means. And then last but not least, we have the word ruri. This is one of those forms that you just have to memorize. It is called the locative case. It's just a special form of the word rus, which means country. So the word ruri means in the country. So altogether the sentence says, Tullia and her daughters, Cornelia and Secunda, are in the country. Claudia Romae est. Once again, we have a feminine, singular, nominative noun right at the beginning of the sentence. That's going to be our doer of the action or our subject. Our verb is est. So Claudia est is our basic sentence. The only thing that's a little bit tricky here is Romae. Again, that is another locative form that just has to be memorized. I believe those were in chapter 9. So the sentence means Claudia is at Rome. So we have Tullia in the country with her daughters and family. We have Claudia in Rome. We don't really know where she's staying yet. So the two friends are distant from each other. One's in the country, one's in the city. Tullia Claudiam amat. So here we really have a self-contained sentence. We can see that because, again, we have a feminine, singular, nominative noun acting as the doer of the action or subject in the sentence. We have a verb right here at the end of the clause. Notice that with the T, it is a singular verb, and it means likes. And then we have another name in the accusative case. So we know that Claudiam is the receiver of action, or as we say in technical language terminology, the direct object. So this sentence, Tullia Claudiam amat, has our familiar chapter 2 pattern of nominative, accusative, verb. And again, just notice that the number of the nominative, doer of action, matches the number of the verb, which is singular. So let's go ahead and clear the slate and take a look at the next sentence. We have the conjunction itaque, and so. It just connects the two sentences and shows that there's a logical connection between them. What's happening after the itaque happens as a consequence of the Tulia Claudium amat. And so you could also say it in English as therefore. That would be a fine translation as well. Therefore, Tulia, again we have a feminine singular and nominative subject. Now we're going to see a prepositional phrase, cum filiabus. Cum is a preposition that means with. Prepositions almost always, 99% of the time, are going to be followed directly by a noun, either in the accusative case or in the ablative case. The case is going to depend on the preposition. The preposition cum patterns always and only with the ablative. So here we have filiabus as a plural and ablative noun with that somewhat unusual abus ending that just has to be memorized. The usual plural and ablative ending is is, but we don't see that here just because the noun philia takes that ending abus in the plural and ablative. So we can almost bracket the prepositional phrase. Tulia cum filiabus, just kind of put it aside because it's modification. And then we have the word Romam in the accusative, but it doesn't have a preposition in front of it, and it is not the direct object of this verb properat. Properat means hurries, and it does not take a direct object. In Latin, you can't hurry a person, place, or thing, but you can hurry to a place. So this is that unusual use of the accusative case where you can go to cities, towns, and small islands in the accusative case without a preposition. So this just means to roam. Romam here just means to roam. Okay, so the whole sentence, we can put it together. Itaque, and so Tulia hurries to Rome with her daughters. So they're on their way to go visit their friend. Tulia in lectica sedet, sed filiae et servae, Rosa et Anna ambulant. Don't be thrown off by the length of this sentence. It's actually pretty simple. A first thing to notice is the conjunction sed. Sed often connects two complete sentences, as it does here. So we can actually take a look at the sentences kind of one at a time. So let's clear the slate a little bit and just break it down. And we'll look at Tulia in lectica sedet. Again, we have our feminine singular and nominative Tulia. She's singular. Names are typically always singular. The verb is sedet. Again, it is also singular, and it means she sits. Where is she sitting? We have a prepositional phrase, in lectica. Now, this is ablative case because it is following the preposition in when that preposition means in or on. So the sentence means Tulia is sitting in a lectica, this thing here. We came up with the English word carry couch to describe that. The English word litter, although it is archaic, is also used. But since litter can also mean cat litter, I wouldn't recommend using it. So we might just say Tulia sits in the lectica. We can just use the Latin word and we know what it means. So let's go ahead and clear that up. Again, we're using sed as a kind of natural breaking point in the sentence. So let's look at what follows it. Filiae et servae, Rosa et Anna, ambulant. When we look at this I ending, we know that there are several possibilities for it. It could be genitive or dative singular. It could also be plural and nominative. In this sentence, it is plural and nominative, and we know that just by looking at the verb and seeing that the NT is plural and realizing, okay, we need some nominative doers of the action to go with that verb. So once again, the sentence is really fairly simple. The filiae et the servae are both nominative. Ambulant, they walk, is the verb. So the sentence basically means, if we just look at the core of the sentence, stripping away the modification. Filii et servi ambulant. The daughters and the servants walk. That is why our conjunction is said, because said shows a contrast. It is called, I think in technical terms, adversative, meaning it shows a contrast rather than the same thing. So said is adversative. Tulia gets to sit in the lectica. The daughters and the servants got to walk. Now, once again, we have a sort of parenthetical insertion of two nouns in apposition to servi. Who are the servi? They are Rosa et Anna. And notice again, the Rosa et Anna, they are the same case. They are singular, but they are nominative, which means they're really just explaining the nominative noun servi. Again, we call that in apposition. You'll see a lot of that on the SAT in the rules questions. Okay, so here we have this whole sentence, which means, if we sort of take a look at the whole thing, Tulia sits in the carry couch, but her daughters and servants, Rosa and Anna, they walk. And final section, or final slide sentence for this part of the story. Ex villa in viam appiam, Tulia et puellae properant. Notice that this sentence is a little bit different in that it starts with prepositional phrases rather than with your nominative subject. Latin can do that. You can put the words in any order in Latin, and the sentence is going to mean the same thing because the cases tell you what's going on. Think of prepositional phrases, however, as a unit. So try to see, let me get rid of that, it's hard to see there. Try to see the ex villa as a unit that hangs together or stays together, sticks together, and see the in viam appiam as a unit that sticks together rather than just looking at those nouns in isolation. So we have an ablative, feminine singular and ablative here with villa. It is ablative following the preposition ex, which means out of. Your ex is out of your life, and always patterns with the ablative case. Here we have viam appiam, the Appian Road. It is in the accusative case, but it's not the direct object or receiver of action in the sentence. It's accusative because here it's patterning with the preposition in. In plus the accusative case means into. There's a sense of movement. So, out of the mansion, into the Appian Road are two prepositional phrases that modify the verb that describe the action. Now, what's happening and who's doing it? Now we see Tulia, our feminine singular in nominative. She's a doer of action. We have our et. Et is going to be joining two things that are the same, joining in the nominative Tulia with the nominative puellae, also nominative but plural. So Tulia et puellae are the doers. Tulia and the girls are the doers of the action. What is the action? Properant. They hurry. Notice that the nt makes it plural. So we've got our whole sentence here with two prepositional phrases as modification right at the beginning. The core of our sentence, really, the main part of the sentence, if you strip away all that modification, is Tulia et puellae properant. Tulia and the girls hurry. From where do they hurry? Out of their mansion. Into where do they hurry? Into the Appian Road. So that's our sentence. Now you'll answer some questions that kind of ask you to kind of review and go over the grammar of the sentence. Maybe do a little bit of creative composition.